going. There we go. All right, welcome in Total Bases Friday morning. I've got Bryan, Leonard, I've got Tokyo Brandon, and we are talking Major League Baseball for the next hour. Free picks, whatever you guys want to talk about. The chat controls this show, and we've already got people in the chat, and we're just going to get right into it. I was told I'm wasting too much time at the beginning, so I'm going right to the chat. Right to the chat. I'm not going to complain about one-run losses in Korea. We'll save that for a different day. Right to the chat. G Hurt hammering the Tigers today. And I'm glad that you brought this game up because this is Kevin Paquette is in here saying we keep fading the O's. Listen, like we talked about streaks. We talked about stuff like this the other day. Like there's an expiration date on everything, especially when it comes to like Major League Baseball and stuff. And I was talking to my buddy Freddie Mills about this yesterday on my spaces. And we noticed that the Orioles were now an underdog yesterday after a series of days where they were like minus 150. And so my question, and I'll go to Bryan first, we'll go to TB. My question to you guys is, because we've talked about like the Orioles a lot on this show, you know, having reasons to fade them, not thinking they're a very good team. But suddenly they're an underdog now, and that's important because they really weren't up until yesterday. So is the value still there to play against the Orioles? What do you guys think? Bryan, I'll go to you first.
Well, I played against the Orioles yesterday, and the reason why they were the underdog is because Washington had their number one starter on the mound, and he did his job. That was the only game I lost yesterday in Major League Baseball. Been on a nice 11-3 run. Yeah, Baltimore got the victory. And afterwards, you could say, well, you know, they came in as the underdog. But still, if I had to play that game again, I would play Washington. Obviously, Washington had their best player back on offense, and he was leading off the game. He had missed the first two games. That was an advantage for Washington. Even though it's your first game back, you may not be as in tune as you normally would. But still, they had the better guy coming back and the much better pitcher. And they led that game 1-0 for the majority of the game. And then they lose 2-1. It happens. It's baseball. The game was was a reasonable number for Washington at home, so it wasn't like it was an upset or anything. So I'll continue to fade Baltimore, and I'll do so again today. They got Brandon Young on the mound, who his first game 6.75 ERA, 4 innings, 2.50 WHIP. I don't think he's a bad pitcher. I think he's one of their better guys they have right now. But you're taking a look at the way Detroit's playing. Detroit's playing good all-around baseball, and Mize has been a guy that's got it done this year. So, yeah, Detroit's the side I'm looking at in that early game, or that first game we're talking about.
Yeah, regarding yesterday's, I did not expect that from Povich. Pitching into the 7th inning, I don't think he even made it into the 6th inning in either of his couple first starts. Maybe he barely reached it, but pitched into the 7th inning. But Baltimore used 3 of their good relievers to grip onto that 2-1 lead with all their might. So I think with the travel, with the late game, and with Detroit rested, yeah, I mean, you got a pretty trustworthy pitcher on Detroit's side. And if you look at the home record, Detroit's got a great home record. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Orioles will probably be a little tired today, perhaps.
I'll go the other way on this one. I think where this is priced now, Orioles as an underdog, they needed some confidence. They do get it yesterday. That was a kind of an improbable win for them to win 2-1, but they get the win. And I do think the one thing you can maybe count on from this Orioles team is some offense at some point. Like, this is still a pretty good lineup. They just haven't collectively hit, but that type of stuff tends to turn. I also think Young is probably one of their better starting pitching options at this point. I don't really hate Povich per se. Like, I think long term he might be the best of the younger guys that they have. I just think that he kind of got up. You know, they put themselves. We could talk about that all day. Like the Orioles making bad front office decisions, kind of put themselves in a position where they needed to have him up there while he was still developing at AAA. They may have done that with Young as well. Although I'll go back to last year. Like, Young threw the ball pretty good at AAA last year. He started off throwing it good this year. So he's actually one of the pitching options on the Orioles I'm maybe most intrigued by, most willing to take a shot with at this point. I do like Mize. We talked about Mize like early in this season, kind of, you know, being healthy for the first time, reinventing himself as a pitcher. So I don't want to like bet against him because I feel like I was ahead of the curve on him. But at the same time, he's also started off really good. So does he regress at all? Maybe. So I guess price wise, I lean the Orioles here. I make them a very slight favorite, but just not sure if I want to be involved with the Orioles just yet. So something I'll be thinking about today. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, if you take a look at the run differential so far in the season, Baltimore's minus 27, Detroit's +1 or +30. So you got a 57 run differential here for Detroit, playing at home, which you said they've done well. They're 10-3 at home. Baltimore 5-8 on the road. The money has come in on Baltimore, so somebody agrees with you on that. I just think the value is with Detroit, and if there's one team out there that's playing consistently good baseball, defense, offense, and pitching, is Detroit right now. So that's a team I'm looking to back. There's somebody that disagrees with me, including you, but that would be the side that I would play, is the Tigers.
All right, we will
Don't favor
move
Casey
on.
Mize over Young, Adam.
Here's the thing, like right now, Mize is probably slightly better, but Young still has quite a bit of upside. And I mean, listen, we've seen Mize for a couple of years now. So I like the changes he made in the offseason. I think he's putting himself in a much better place to succeed going into this year. Right now, he's got a whip under 1. Do I believe that long term he can be that? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess so. I mean, I like the changes he's made. But if you look at like what he's done so far, like, last 2 games, he's only got 3 strikeouts each. Like, I think he's like running really good. Could he have a stretch where he looks a little bit like last year's Casey Mize? I wouldn't like be that surprised at that. And if he, and the thing is, like, I still, even though I've been an Orioles hater this whole time, I still believe in this lineup enough, right? Where if they get going a little bit and they're going to put a crooked number or 2 out there, that they could win some games. So I don't know like that. I'm not like totally convinced that Mize is like so much better than Young. Orioles as an underdog, I think I like that for that game tonight. Okay, let's move on to Jack Falk says about time to crack open the fireball.
Actually, today it's a Japanese plum liquor. I got umesh. If you've ever heard of umesh, it's Japanese plum liquor. It's pretty good. Pretty good. It's the Japanese version of Fireball.
Drinking it out of a milk carton.
What's that? Yeah, I'm drinking it straight out of the carton.
Top of the morning to me and Brian, but it is Friday night for TB. So he's going to enjoy himself some plum wine, and we are going to go to Titan CT in the chat. He wants to know any thoughts, Braves-D-backs. So we'll go right back to TB before he's too tipsy to talk on this show, and we'll ask him about Braves-Diamondbacks. Start us off.
It's hard to go against Chris Sale, and but I do like the Braves a little bit here. I mean, they're hitting better than the Diamondbacks, but this is when teams are kind of equal. Gallen's not having the typical season, and he hasn't been going deep in games either, which is kind of surprising because he used to be one of those warriors. I like to do the outs props over under, and he used to be one of those guys that I could count on to get into the 6th inning, but he's not kind of like that so far this season. Sale has a great name, but he's not. I mean, if you look at his deeper numbers, pretty average this season so far. And we've had this debate, Adam. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out on the post board, but I just don't like Arizona's bullpen. I really don't like them. And I know that Brian mentioned they have 2 guys missing, but you need more than 2 guys to fix this. Their bullpen's a mess. If anyway, I go Atlanta because their bats are a little hotter, but I am not betting this game.
Well, go to Brian. I'll go to Brian because I want him to elaborate a little bit. Like, listen, full strength, Arizona's got a pretty solid bullpen, but they're not full strength. And that's, I mean, baseball's all about who's available, right? You can have the name on the front of the jerseys irrelevant. If your top guys aren't available, you're probably going to struggle. So I'm not disagreeing with you at this point that Arizona has bullpen issues. And go ahead, Brian, to talk to me about Braves-Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I'm glad we went to this game because I always look deeper into the stats as opposed to the surface stats. And right now, Chris Sale, 6.17 ERA, 1.63 whip. You would think, well, there's no way you want to play Chris Sale. But his xFIP is very good. It's basically where it normally is. It's in the 3.35 range. So he's been getting a little bit unlucky here. But if you take a look at his chase rate, 94th percentile. All his normal rates are good. His barrel rate's only in the 31st, so he has been getting hit harder than he normally is. But also, when you take a look at Gallen's numbers are bad, as was pointed out. But his deep down numbers, his extended numbers, are also bad. He's just not pitching as well. So we got two pitchers with good names that have had a lot of success in Major League Baseball that have gotten off to what we would consider to be bad starts. But if you look past the surface numbers, Sale's been better. I agree. Right now, Arizona's bullpen is in bad shape because they do have their two guys at the back of the bullpen are not playing. And from what I've heard about Puck, he's looking for many different options from what he's got. So that's not good news. So he may be out for the season, and that's going to really hurt them in the long run. The other guy's got a tired arm. The rest of the bullpen has had to pick up because of them. So they're concerned in that regard. And so I prefer the Atlanta side. Don't know if I'll get there, but Chris Sale is, we knew we were going to get some regression from him from last year. It's not as bad as what the regular numbers show right now with that 6.17 ERA. We'll see if he can get back to his self in this start against a very good offense in Arizona.
Yeah, Braves is an intriguing option here. Number wise, it's kind of like what I expected it to be. But I also think you have to downgrade Arizona just ever so slightly as long as Ketel Marte is out. I talked about that maybe a week ago. As long as he's still out, like that's you have to bump them a notch down. Tokyo Brandon talking about the bullpen with the injuries, have to bump them a notch down for that. Their hottest hitter is at Reno. I don't know why Jordan Lawler's not on this team yet. Have to bump them down for that decision. Hottest hitter in the minor leagues right now, and he's still at Reno. I think he could probably help the D-backs right now, especially when you don't have Marte. He's a middle infielder. But, so a team I was very, very high on coming into the season, I think I'd be willing to go against them here. So Braves are pass for me on that one. We are going to stay out west. Cody Kisker in the chat. Our favorite team to talk about on the show. Actually, maybe our two favorite teams to talk about on the show. The Mariners, the Marlins, over 7.5 seems like a good spot. So that is Logan Gilbert, Cal Quantrill out in T-Mobile Park. Brian Leonard, not typically an over park. So I don't know. But Quantrill can give him up on a given day. So what do you think?
Well, Quantrill does give up the home runs, but you don't give up many homers in this park. I think because Seattle's looked so good offensively on the road, you would take a look at this, you go 7.5. The Miami offense is much improved over what we saw earlier in the season. The only concern I have is similar to the Colorado Rockies, and I don't want to put Seattle's ballpark in the same thing, but when you're playing in Colorado and you go on the road, the Rockies have been terrible in that first game because you're not getting the off-speed pitches are actually moving when they're in that situation. So now we're getting a Seattle team who hit really well on the road, but now they're coming back home to that terrible hitting ballpark, and that's got to throw them off a little bit here. Gilbert he could be right now the hottest pitcher in baseball. You take a look at that strikeout to walk ratio. He has been fantastic. So I don't want to go against Gilbert, but I'm not going to lay the 250 with Seattle. Quantrill's a guy, he's still in the league. He's one of those guys, he's like a Charlie Morton type of thing to the lesser extent. Morton's, I think, done at this point. I think a lot of Baltimore fans will agree at this early going. But Quantrill's been a guy, when he pitched in Cleveland, he was good. When he pitched in Colorado, he was not good at all. So he can give you 5 decent innings, and the way Seattle hits at home, that may be good enough. I could see playing the over, but you're going to have to get Seattle to score some runs, and I'm not so sure that Seattle will score more than 4 runs in this game.
Go ahead, TB.
Yeah, Yeah, my first impression looking at this was, oh wow, Seattle. And then I looked at the odds and I was like, no. But like Bryan mentioned, Miami's offense is not bad right now. This is a pitcher park, but the Miami Marlins team total right now is 2.5. It seems kind of ridiculously low to me. Kind of scared to take a Miami over in this ballpark, but if I bet this game anyway, instead of the game total, I might take Miami to score 3 runs because on the road, 9 innings of at bats. I looked at Gilbert's history against this team. He really doesn't have a history, but Seattle's bullpen is not what they used to be. I have them ranked pretty mediocre at this point. So I think Miami could get 3 runs in this one. If I was going to bet this one, that's how I would go. I haven't done it yet, though.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing we've talked about all week. Miami's just too undervalued, too scrappy of an underdog to want to bet against them, especially at this price. That being said, like I look at this series, I look at this series as a series where I'd love to find a spot to take Miami at some point. It's just not going to be here. I'd rather avoid their elite starter, Logan Gilbert, and maybe like target someone else, especially when I've got an arm I trust a little bit more on the Miami side. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I've talked about it. I hate to beat a dead horse, but strikeout minus walk percentage is the key when you're looking at starting pitchers. Quantrill, 9.8 strikeout percentage, 11.0 walk percentage. So he's in the negative. Or you take a look at Gilbert, 38% strikeouts, 5.6 walk percentage, 32.4 on the strikeout minus walk. And normally you're a very good pitcher if you're 16. So he's dominated that. So I don't want to go against Gilbert. But I also don't want to lay this big number. Maybe we could play something else where we could play something that fits into Gilbert pitching well here. But I probably won't be on this game regardless.
Yeah,
maybe Gilbert to get a win, maybe.
Yeah, it's still going to end up being a pretty good number. I think.
It's not a good number.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's Quantrill, to be honest with you. I think, Bryan, I texted you like over the weekend and I said Quantrill would be out of the rotation by this turn. I figured they would like maybe call Mazer or one of the guys. Like they have like 3 or 4 guys that have pitched incredibly well at AAA. And I thought they would have got rid of him. Not necessarily got rid of him, but maybe put him into the bullpen as like a long relief option and brought one of the starters up because their rotation is just eviscerating AAA right now. The jumbo shrimp are like 18-6, and it's like quality start every time out, which you really don't see in AAA that often. So I'll be circling those spots. Like when Adam Mazer gets a chance to come up, he's thrown it extremely well. And there's a Belozo was up last year for a little bit. He's been pitching great at AAA. So we'll see. I think Quantrill is going to be the first to go out of that rotation in favor of one of the other guys. Okay, let's see. Let's continue on. Kevin Piquet. We'll go to Kevin Piquet. How do you feel overall about the Red Sox? Every time I watch, I feel like they're just not a good team. I'll start with you, Bryan. What do you have to say to that?
There was an article out, Joel Sheehan, I believe. There's a lot of guys that do really good writing. And he was talking about there's somebody on ESPN, and I forgot their name, but they do third-party runs scored or whatever in the game. And they have Boston is one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball when it comes to what they've done so far this year against the schedule that they have played. I didn't realize. I know Boston for some parts of the season they have not looked good. I didn't realize they were that bad so far. Tanner Houck on the mound. He has not been the same this year. Ben Lively's a guy for the Guardians who gives you quality innings, and he rarely gets hit hard when it comes to that. He usually can get a good 5 innings out of Lively here. I prefer that side over Houck. I prefer the way Cleveland's playing over Boston here. So I'm a little bit surprised that we're getting that kind of number. Maybe it's because it's the Boston Red Sox and that's a team with a name. But in that game, in a pickup situation, Cleveland's the side I'm looking at early.
Yeah, I'll go next. Cover the logos when you do your numbers, and then you won't see such a sparkling sparkling outlook for some of these teams. This team would have been great in 2019. Listen to some of these guys they got: Lucas Giolito, Aroldis Chapman, Bayo, Tanner Houck, Walker Buehler. 2019, man, you got Cy Young winners on their team, but now not so much. And I have their bullpen ranked in the bottom 1/3 of MLB, including current form. Of course, doesn't mean that that's what they are all the time. These numbers are static. Their hitting's not bad, but with slightly above average hitting, and a below average bullpen and a rotation that's kind of put together with cellophane tape, they're about where you would expect them to be. I put a flyer on a future for them to win the division. Just a 1% flyer. I think it was I forgot the numbers, maybe plus 600 or something like that. But I don't expect it to cash, but you got to take a shot. Yoshida's out right now. They're toiling in mediocrity, which is kind of where they should be with this roster.
So it's a really interesting point you made, TB, about covering, not trying, making the numbers, trying not to bias yourself with the teams and just letting the numbers be the numbers. I was shocked that my numbers came out on all of my projections, making Guardians minus 115, minus 110 here. I would have, all of my projections have the Guardians to win. I would have bet anything, knowing that matchup was coming up and where I have certain guys weighted, that would have been the inverse. It would have been the Red Sox being favored. So that caught my eye right away, that all the numbers sort of point to the Guardians. And I think I just have to go back and up Lively in my rankings, because of course I have probably more of a bias to Lively than just about anyone. I watched, watching him in KBO for all those years. And then, it's worth pointing out that when he came back over from KBO and he was with the Reds, he had a documented shoulder injury that ended up that he was pitching through and ended up sort of having his season cut short that year. And for a guy like Lively, when you got an injury like that, he doesn't have overpowering stuff. So that sort of explains why he started to struggle with the Reds. Ever since he got to Cleveland and he's been healthy, this dude hits his spots as good as anyone in the league. Mm-hmm. He's as good as anyone in the league at just pitching, hitting the corners, keeping it off the plate. And guys are up there the today's MLB player sees 89, thinks they can crush it. And where he puts the ball, it makes it very difficult to do that. So I'm kind of sold on him at this point. Go ahead, Brian. Talk.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He's a guy that's got very good control, not overwhelming stuff. I do want to point out both bullpens, at least the key players in the bullpens, are all available tonight. They have not really pitched in the last few days. The line opened 8.5, gone to 9. Houck's a better pitcher than what he's shown. He's got some mechanical issues right now, but that could change at any time. We see that. You just find something in your back. But the line opened 8.5, went to 9. I'd prefer the under because the bullpens have that ability. I know Class A it's funny where I could find injuries just from common sense, where the managers never talk about them, and now they're saying Class A's got some arm problems after a few days. No, we're just resting him. Well, I see him pitch every day, and it's clear that something was wrong. So he may be sitting out for a bit. They haven't made any proclamations about that, but we all know that Cleveland's back of the bullpen is extremely good, regardless if he's in or not. So, if he does get off to a few runs early, maybe play the under the rest of the game here is something I'm going to keep an eye on.
Sorry, I didn't actually cover the game. I thought the question was the Red Sox.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think about the? What do you think about?
I don't really have much to add to what you guys said. I have Cleveland about 4 points higher than the Red Sox here, so they'd be about a minus 115, which is fairly close to where the book is. So I'm not going to bet this game.
All right, let's go over to Craig. He points out the Angels' schedule is a bitch today. Yeah, it is. They played late last night, and now they've got to go up to Minnesota, which hasn't had good weather, much to my dismay. Couldn't get 9 innings in yesterday to get me White Sox plus 1.5 home in what was pretty much a dominant performance by the White Sox. I mean, the Twins just looked awful. Really have been a huge disappointment this year. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. The Twins have been massively disappointing relative to like what I think anyone expected them to be. And the Angels have kind of been a nice surprise, although we talked about the Angels earlier this week, and they sort of started to fade off in that series with the Pirates. They did get the late win last night, I believe, came out 4-3 winners. As far as this game's concerned, for me, like, I don't really want to, I'm not going to lay this kind of number with the Twins. They still have a long way to go before I think they're justified being like a $2 favorite. But at the same time, like Kyle Hendricks, the Angels, I think they might be on the downward sort of projection after their hot start. So I'm just sitting this one out. This was a quick, easy pass for me. But we'll start with Brian Leonard. Do you have anything in this one, Twins Angels?
Well, I'm with you. I don't want the Twins. That offense continues to struggle. They're just not very good offensively. One of the worst in Major League Baseball. You go back and take a look at them all season long. I may be interested in the Angels here, and I don't know the last time I've bet on Kyle Hendricks, but this line's way too high. You get Lopez coming back from the IL, first game back. The Twins overall, the bullpen has not been what it has been in the past. I believe just the other day, the closer got his first save of the season. And Jackson's looking better the last few days, but he's gotten bombed. He's been very inconsistent. Sands is good. I like the Minnesota bullpen, but they're not pitching well right now. So you got a guy coming back for his first start after being on the IL against an Angels team, and you would take a look at the lineups for both of these teams. The Angels are a much better hitting team than what Minnesota is. So we're getting the team who is a much better offensive team, and you're getting them with the guy in Hendricks that keeps the opposition off balance. His hard hit rates in the 95th percentile, average exit velocity in the 94th percentile. He's doing what he does best. Sure, he's got a 4.50 ERA. This is Kyle Hendricks, but he's a guy who keeps the opposition off balance, and Minnesota doesn't need any help keeping them off balance offensively. They're just not hitting well, and some of their better players are out of the lineup. So I'm going to find a way to play on the Angels. I may play the Angels team total over. I may fade the Minnesota team total, but there's no way you can bet the Twins in this price range.
Totally agree. And I agree with that. You can't bet the Twins in this price range, but Angels are struggling, and wait till Mike Trout gets injured. They're going to struggle even more. I say wait until because it's pretty much inevitable each year that he gets injured. But if you look at power numbers, the Angels are a much better power hitting team. They did a lot of that damage at the beginning of the season. But like Brian said, it's hard to trust someone who's coming off IL. I would love to bet the Twins if they were minus 110 here, but they're not. So I really wouldn't want to touch the Angels in this case, because according to my numbers, the Twins have a small bullpen advantage, but the Twins are actually hitting better in recent form. So yeah, I'm not going to bet this game, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it.
I think that's probably the biggest advantage for the Twins here is the bullpen. Angels don't have much of a pen. They did play a close game late last night. The rain sort of saved Minnesota from having to use anyone of note. They kind of just had Alcala out there, who's like the guy you don't really want if you're on the Twins at this point. So you're gonna that is one thing. You will get the sort of better Twins relievers, especially if they have a lead. No one is hitting in this Twins lineup. Correa is hitting like $167. Buxton's like 220. Like there's the best player, and I'll go back to Bryan in a second because he said this the other day. Luke Keschel, who just got called up, is like the best player on this team. He's been with the team for a week. Deshaun Kersey's hitting under 100 at this point. It's just been a rough go and makes it very difficult to buy the Twins when you don't know if you're going to get any offense. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I will disagree that they're hitting any better. They just played the White Sox. We can all agree at this point that they're the worst team in Major League Baseball. In 3 games, they scored 10 runs, and that's the White Sox. They're going from the White Sox. Now, granted, normally if you go from the White Sox, you're playing a much better team. The Angels pitching staff isn't that great either. But to score 10 runs the last 3 games against the White Sox, I still don't want them, and they were shut out the last game. So coming off a shutout against the White Sox, there's not too many teams that are going to be in that situation this year. They've got Cleveland coming up after this. So the Twins right now are a fade for me. But I hear Lewis is starting his minor league game, so he should be back pretty soon, and probably just in time to get hurt once again.
All right, let's head over. We got to talk about this one because we have Friday day baseball thanks to the Cubs. Friday day baseball should be a thing every week, but at least the Cubs give us a Friday day game anytime they play a home game. So we got to talk about it. G Hurt says, I know we're going to talk about how the Cubs are fixing to destroy the Phillies today. I think the number's pretty right. I think the number's right, where I would expect it to be. I do not care for Taijuan Walker, so it would only be the Cubs potentially destroying the Phillies for me. But Phillies are going to win one at some point. They just got slapped around by the Mets. So what do you think, Brian Leonard? Cubs-Phillies. Are they a live dog today, in your opinion?
Yeah, to get swept by the Mets there, that's a telling series. And I could see why. Philadelphia is a team that if they don't hit the home runs, they're going to struggle. The Mets play more of a team baseball, and the Mets pitching staff has been tremendous so far. Colin Ray, he's taken over for Steele in the Chicago lineup. Career average 4.48 ERA, 1.27. He's a journeyman type of pitcher. But you take a look at his strikeout to walk ratio this year. He's got a 21.4 strikeout rate, which is a little bit higher than what he's had in his career, but his walk rate, 1.8. So he's got like a 19.6 strikeout to walk ratio, which is excellent. Granted, he's only pitched a few games, 13.2 innings so far this season, but he has been good. And he's got a lot of confidence getting into this lineup because if you're pitching for Chicago right now, Chicago's scored the most runs in Major League Baseball. This offense has been terrific. You look at a team from 1 to 9; they're dangerous all around. So he's got some confidence here, and that would be the side I would take a look at here. I think Philly's struggling, and they have to be struggling mentally also. And Taijuan Walker is their worst starting pitcher, but yet he's been better than a couple of the other guys so far. So he's pitching better than he has lately. But to get the Cubs in this price range at home, I think it's a little bit of a bargain.
Tokyo Brandon, I got a question for you, and then you can talk about this game as well if you want. I've noticed when pitchers spend some time in Japan in that league and have a little success, they almost always come back a better pitcher. It's like pretty much more so than KBO. KBO's hit or miss. It's not as good of a league as NPB, but specifically pitchers that go to Japan and have a little success in Japan and stay for a while. Nick Martinez, Cody Ponce is like the best pitcher in KBO right now after spending some time in Japan. And we've talked about that correlation with Japan to Korea because it's kind of a step down. But a lot of these guys have done extremely well in the big leagues. And so like when you look at Rey's career numbers, I'm almost willing to like disregard his career pre-Japan because I think he's just been a much better pitcher since returning. So talk about that a little bit and what you think about Cubs-Phillies.
Japanese teams, they're very regimented, not like MLB. They're very into the calisthenics and the workout, and they make everybody do it, and they all do it in unison. It's almost like the military when you play baseball in Japan. And also the coaching is top notch. So pitching coaches out here are like Japanese Cy Young Award winners. It's called the Sawamura Award here, but the coaching is top notch, the conditioning top notch, because let's face it, American athletes are a little bit superior to Japanese athletes. So they feel like they have to use whatever they can to their advantage to build up to beat the other guy. So they feel like they're at a disadvantage at birth, right? So they're going to work as hard as they can to build those deficiencies up. So that's why they train hard, they practice hard, and they're coached really well. That's why when you watch Japan in the World Baseball Classic and whatnot, they play that small ball. I mean, everyone idolized Ichiro when they were growing up, so they all play like him, like just balls out, and that's just how they play here. So that's why they come back.
Yeah, I got a
Go
question
ahead,
for
Ryan.
you. Brandon, you were born in the United States, correct?
Yes.
And you moved, so you know how it feels to be an American moving to Japan. I know I could speak a couple of words of other languages. I can't speak a thing about Japan. If you're an American and you're going over there, I know, like if I was to go to Mexico or something right now, I could speak a little bit of Mexican living here in the West Coast and pick a little bit up. But it's Spanish, whatever. But good point. But it's a situation where if I'm in that country and I don't understand the language, I would think you would be more focused on your job as opposed to in the United States. Because in the United States, you go out after the game, you're with your buddies, you go to the bar and the hall, you know all about it. You go to a different country like that, you're more focused on your job than you would be in the United States. I would think so.
That's another point too, because the foreign players who are here, they kind of surround themselves in a bubble because they want to speak their own language. They don't want to have to always talk through an interpreter and things like that. And you see that on the Dodgers too. You always see Sasaki and Otani and Yamamoto together talking to each other. They don't want to talk to people through an interpreter all the time. They just want to hang out and shoot the crap, So yeah, that's a very good point too. They're in a bubble, basically. So regarding this game, I'll just touch on it quickly because I went off on a tangent there about Japan. But Colin Ray, interesting number. He's striking out 10.8 guys per start, and the Cubs are striking out 9.15 per 9 innings. So interesting. His strikeout, I have his strikeout projection at 4.58. So because he generally goes only 45.9% into his starts, Colin Ray. So if he can get through the 5th inning, a pretty good chance he's going to strike out 5 or 6 guys. So I'm not sure. I didn't check his strikeout prop. Sorry. Lack of preparation, but a strikeout prop for him might be something to look at. I also like the over in this because we got 2 really good lineups and 7.5. I don't know what the wind conditions are, but I hate betting in these monkey parks where they're like, like Colorado and Chicago, where the lines are all dependent on the weather. I really hate it, but an over might be a way to look to. Sorry to go off on a tangent there.
No,
that's all right. That's but no, I just like, again, I'll go back to, you could take that. That's probably a way to find some betting value as you go forward. One of my, we'll go with the name from a decade ago, Ryan Vogelsong, spent 4 years in Japan, came back, was an all-star and won 2 World Series after his time in Japan, was part of 2 World Series
coaching
rotations.
Here is amazing.
And an all-star after being a legitimate nobody for the first 6-7 years of his career. So I don't know, something to that. And maybe I've had that in the back of my head.
But
yeah,
like you guys always say about the Marlins, it's kind of that effect. They have really good coaching. They can actually build something out of nothing kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I've kind of, I thought Rhea, when he popped back up in the league, I was like, oh, this guy's going to get killed. And then the more I watch him pitch, I'm like, kind of a different pitcher. And I felt that way about Nick. I know Nick Martinez hasn't had the best start to his season, but I've kind of felt that way with him since he got back. Was very, very good overall since he's returned. He's been pretty solid. So it's a good, I feel like it's a good point to talk about.
Like
Let's
Bryan.
go to Jeff.
Wait, one quick point.
Yeah.
The funny thing is Martinez and Ray, they both played for the same team. They played for the SoftBank Hawks, and neither one of them were actually superior out here. They were just average guys, like number 3 guys in the rotation. And then they go back to the US and they can pitch in the major leagues. As a scout, I'm kind of surprised to see that actually.
I'll go back to Bryan. Do you think it's because Japanese hitters are a little bit more disciplined, and here they can kind of use how aggressive these guys are to their advantage, almost like Ben Lively's doing? It's not like Ben Lively was the best pitcher in KBO. He was exactly good for 3 years, but now he's back here and throwing 89 on the black, and he's getting guys out.
Thing. Yeah, you just look at Ichiro. I mean, the guy could hit the home runs if he needed to, but he went with where the ball was pitched. American ball players now, and I hate to be the old man on his Carmine would say, the old man yelling at clouds. But they play the way baseball used to be played, where you got on base and let the other guys knock you in. Now, because everybody wants to pay the big home run hitters, American baseball players are a little bit lacking fundamentals. Let's just call it that way.
To American baseball players' credit, though, nobody in Japan has a body like Aaron Judge. So putting that out.
99.9% of people in this country don't either.
Yeah,
that's true.
All right, let's move on. Let's head out west. Jack Falk wants to talk about the last game on the board tonight, and a very interesting matchup to me. Two teams that I like quite a bit. One is worse off than the other right now. We got Giants Rangers. So we kind of predicted the Rangers struggle in the Oakland series a little bit. They're certainly not in their optimal form setup right now. If you listen to the show the last couple weeks, we talked about DeGrom being maybe a little bit overpriced, and the A's ended up getting him last night. Got the win at the end, 4-3. The Giants, man, I'll say this. I'll start with this, and we'll go to Bryan. If you were going to buy one team right now from a future standpoint to like get some value or take a shot, I would have the Giants every which way. Win the division, win the NL, get to the play. However you can bet it where there's still value. Because people are always asking what, futures, like whatever. Giants is the best value you can find in the National League. The reason, A, they're better than I think they get credit for right now. B, they have basically two starting rotations. Their starting rotation at Sacramento right now would be there's a lot of teams in Major League Baseball that would have most of those guys. Kyle Harrison, Wisenhunt, the prospect, Carson Seymour, another prospect. There's like 5 starters that should all be in a starting rotation. And the reason that's important when you're looking at futures, I think the Giants are going to be able to point at whatever big offensive bat is on the market come July and say, our team, well, who do you want? Because we have anyone you can need. You need a reliever, we'll give you Gel. Like we have guys. And that is, I think, could be a game-changing thing for them in the National League. Not to mention, Jung-Hoo Lee's playing awesome. They've got a bunch of guys that I think are Ramos could be a star. So I'm all in on the Giants. What do you think, Bryan?
I don't disagree with you very often. I understand your reasoning, but San Francisco is like Toronto in the American League. They're this close to getting these great players to come to San Francisco, and they can't get them to stay. Remember when Aaron Judge was a free agent? San Francisco, they were to the point where they thought they had him.
Why do you need him to stay at the trade deadline? Why do you need him to stay at the trade deadline? You're just telling him to come and help you win this year.
As much as I love the city of San Francisco, it's cold there. It's windy there. It's not the kind of stadium people enjoy playing in. So I'm not so sure. And they don't have the history of going out and buying high-priced free agents. And you're in a division with the Dodgers. As much as the Dodgers are struggling right now, the Dodgers are going to win that division. So you're looking at a wild card team. But on a day-to-day basis, I will agree. I think San Francisco is one of these teams that's much better fundamentally than a lot of people think. They play pretty good defense overall. The pitching staff is pretty deep from number one all the way to the end. And you mentioned the guys in the minors. So on a day-to-day basis, San Francisco, a team that we can make money on. I just have concerns about the front office getting people in there. In this game here, Eovaldi has been a guy, 1.7 walk rate so far this season. His control has been tremendous. That said, this Texas team right now is a team I'm looking to fade. I faded them last night with the A's. I did use a 5% on the A's, and I finally got one of those games where I won a 1-run game as they scored 2 in the ninth, and it was a nice victory for us. But
those are nice.
Yeah, Texas is a team right now I'm looking to fade. The line looks fair for San Francisco, but it's probably not going to be on my side. Verlander's numbers, he looked a little bit better last time out, but he's still a guy that he's the lesser of the 2 starting pitchers in this matchup.
Okay, I'll give my take on this. I thought Verlander's last start, he looked like vintage Verlander a little bit. And Kate Upton is his wife, and she's hot, so that's kind of nice too. So we got 2
plum wine is kicking in. Brian's like, I'm out after that comment.
I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to be on wine to think Kate Upton is hot, but so anyway,
you'd have to be on a lot of wine to think I was hot. That's the problem.
I never said Bryan Leonard is hot. Let's just make that clear. No, but I thought we saw vintage Verlander in his last start. I think he went 6 innings and gave up 1 earned or something like that. 2 top 10 bullpens. And here's an interesting fact. San Francisco is 14-2 against left-handed pitching. I think Eovaldi, I think, is pitching a little over his head, but I don't think he's going to regress too much. I think Verlander's stats are not kind to how he actually is able to perform even at his age right now. So I would look at an under in this one, especially in the first 5 innings, but I think you can get an under 8 for -140. And that kind of looks good to me. I like both bullpens, both sides of the hitting, not in the upper echelon at all, actually below average for both teams, including recent form. And, you know, if Verlander can hold up his side of the bargain, I think we have a bona fide under in this one. Let me make a note. I whiffed big time on the Giants. I have a future that the Giants won't make the playoffs. I figured the Padres and the Dodgers are going to make it, and there's no room for San Francisco. Plus, I didn't see anyone on their roster that's going to be power hitting. And I do like Webb, and I like some guys in their rotation, but I thought they would be basically a low scoring team that just can't win, like the Rays kind of. So I whiffed on that one. Adam.
It's still early. But I will say, like, now I started this segment off, this play, like, all in on the Giants. I don't know if I love them this weekend. Like this, my gut says that, like, the Rangers might get off the mat a little bit here. It's Eovaldi in this matchup, your clear cut better starting pitcher is Eovaldi. Like that's not even a question at this point. So this is like not the spot I think I want to like jump in. The Giants just took 3 or 4 from the Brewers. Nice come from behind win yesterday. I will say that, like, I don't think anyone had them better than 17-9 to start the season. Now I'm a believer long term, and I do think Bryan, his point, I very much echo the sentiment of this is a team you're going to probably want to play on more than against from a day-to-day standpoint. But they're here. I don't know if I would make Verlander and the Giants a favorite over the Rangers, even with the Rangers, Seager injury and stuff like and that speaks to, I think, me still being higher on the Rangers than maybe most. I still think the Rangers are winning that AL West. Like I still think their long-term outlook is very good. Get Seager back healthy. They're going to probably start to hit. What something interesting I've found in my time watching minor league baseball this year, they've got like 4 really good relievers down at AAA that they're kind of sitting on right now that have been awesome this year. So they might have some more bullpen depth than they're getting credit for. So I kind of like both of these teams. It's probably why I won't be involved in this series. But if you pinned me down in this one, my gut says Rangers plus money is probably the right way to go. I just think it might be a little bit of a letdown after 3 of 4 from the Brewers for the Giants the last few days. Okay. Jack Falk said, what country is it Friday night now and not Friday morning? Justin, that is Japan.
Korea.
For our guy, Tokyo Brandon. Japan, Korea. Yeah, he's about 12, 13 hours difference. So he's enjoying his Friday night right now. Yep. He's enjoying his Friday night right now. WagerTalk jumped in. I don't know who that is behind the scene. What does that mean, TB? Is that like a Japanese
That would
word?
be me. I wrote that as WagerTalk. Yeah. It's the name of this. It's called Umesh.
Gotcha.
It's called Umesh plum liquor. Yeah.
Got it. All right, we've got about 12 minutes left, so let's jump back in. Jack Box says also thoughts.
Cover. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thoughts, Pirates first 5 plus a half a run. Not getting this price very often with Skeens in the first 5. Yeah, we got to talk about Paul Skeens on a Friday right here. So TB, what do you think?
I was going to say we cannot not cover this game, right? Is it my turn?
It's your turn, Skeens Yamamoto.
Skeens Yamamoto, man. As far as a watch game, I'm absolutely sure this is the one that real baseball fans are going to want to watch. Am I right? Who doesn't want to watch Skeens and Yamamoto? These probably, well, I don't know if Skeens is a Cy Young candidate. He could be, but Yamamoto definitely is a Cy Young candidate. Yeah, I put a future on Yamamoto to win the Cy Young at plus 6,200 something. So I'm hoping he keeps going. Yeah, I have these guys. I mean, I got Yamamoto on a curve of 30. I got Yamamoto number 2 and I got Skeens number 3. So these are 2 of the top pitchers. Pittsburgh's bullpen surprisingly performing really well right now. So, and the Dodgers bullpen is not. Kirby Yates, shaky lately. I'm having a lapse here right now. Their new closer, the Dodgers' new closer from San Diego. Can't think of his name right now. Can you guys help me? Yeah. Tanner Scott. He's struggled. He blew a save the other day against the Cubs. So Dodgers bullpen struggling. Pittsburgh's bullpen's doing really well right now. This is a tough one. I don't think, rather than a side, I don't think I want to take a side in this one. But if I were to take anything, I do like your suggestion of the Pirates plus a half run in the first 5, because this to me looks like it's going to be a 0-0 or 1-1 game after 5 innings. Any plus you can get for good odds, I think would be a good bet in this game. Strikeout props too would be a good bet in this game.
It's interesting that not only is the line high, the money has come in against Skeens, and I could probably count on one finger how many times I've seen money come in against Skeens. He's usually a guy that really takes the money in. The Dodgers are 10-2 at home, 16-9 overall. Yet they're only +8 in scoring differential. They did have that one game where they got crushed 16-0 or something. But +8 for this team is really strange. And it's a different game here, but we were talking about the Cubs earlier. The Cubs are +43 in run differential, which leads the league. And yet they played 23 games against teams above 500. For example, for comparison, the New York Mets have only played 6. So the Cubs have looked, you're talking about a team that has value. Is it possible the Cubs, who are playing the best ball in baseball, still have value because of that? We'll have to see. I hope it works out today, because I think I'm going to be on that side. But yeah, it's the line says, boy, that's a high line with Yamamoto, but he's just been terrific so far. Skeens is Skeens. Yes, if you can get that first half plus a half, if you're looking at that, because it may be a 1-1 game or something similar to that, 0-0 after 5. We'll have to see. But yeah, Skeens it opened at +160, and I'm seeing up to 188. It's somebody likes the Dodgers in this one, but I won't be laying that number here against Skeens, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I am. The more money the Dodgers take, the more tempted I am to take that +1.5 with the Pirates. To go back to the original question from Jack, I actually prefer +1.5 the full game. I like what the Pirates are doing with their bullpen now. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the week. I had a nice 5% winner with the Pirates on Tuesday. And listen, like, David Bednar got shelled out of the gate, went back to AAA, worked some things out, was dominant. He's back. Justin Lawrence has been awesome for them so far this year, kind of a guy that was in Denver for all those years. You got to wonder how much better he could be now that he's, not pitching at Coors Field. So I don't mind the Pirates pen at all. And, like Bryan said, how often do you get Skeens as like an actual, he's almost minus EV every time he steps on the mound because of the betting market. Like it's very, very rare. There really hasn't been many times since he's been called up where he hasn't been like the overplayed option. The fact that you can get Pirates +1.5 on the road here with Skeens on the mound is very, very tempting. And the more that price creeps up, if that +1.5 gets down below -120, I think right now it's in that -120 to -125 range. If that came down to like -115, like a -115, -120 type scenario, I might have to take a shot there. That's really, really good value. And the Pirates have played better ball. I think they called up Gorski. I think he got a home run in his first at bat. They're playing a little bit better than they were, in my opinion, earlier in the year. So that's an intriguing game, and I'm certainly giving some consideration to the Pirates.
Shout out to Big Al in the chat. He's in my time zone, and you're welcome for that free play the other day.
I didn't even get that. I'm way behind in the comments.
I know, it was earlier in the show. It was earlier in the show.
All right, so we have about 5 minutes left, and I'm trying to catch up. I appreciate you guys in the comments firing away. A lot of people asked about Boston. We did hit that Boston Guardians game
Yeah, we did.
in
I think we
pretty
covered pretty much.
good detail. Oh yeah, there he is. Thanking you for the free pick. But yeah, if you're looking for Boston Guardians, just rewind the show. This is going to be up on demand. It's always up on demand on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, and we went pretty in depth about Boston, Cleveland. Let's see what we've got here. I'm getting toward the end. We've got to have one more that we didn't talk about. Yeah. G Hurt says Birdsong could start too. The Giants are so loaded with pitching right now. It's insane. It is insane. All right, let's see. We just talked Dodgers,
There's a couple
Pirates.
games we didn't cover, like the Reds, Rockies.
Dodgers,
We
Pirates. All right,
didn't talk
here's
about Marlins.
let's go to Crispy. Blue Jays have been a falling knife. Someone remind me what the Blue Jays did the last couple days. I feel like they're a team I just haven't watched a ton of this year. Personally. They've lost 5 straight games. That's right. They got swept by Houston. Now they are headed to the Bronx to face the New York Yankees. I'll start with Bryan. Yankees, Blue Jays in the Bronx tonight. What do you think?
Well, it's going to make it easy. My Baseball Savant page just blanked out on me, so they must be having problems too. This is the Toronto Yankees game.
Yep.
We're talking about. These are 2 pitchers I've been looking to fade. Barrios, I've always thought is a little bit overrated. Carrasco has pitched a little bit better, but he's just not the same as he used to be. Money has come in heavily on the Blue Jays in this one, though. The Yankees opened up in the 150 range. Now you can lay 124 at Pinnacle and a few others. So somebody likes Toronto here. I'd prefer the Yankees getting back home after playing the Cleveland. Toronto struggling right now. Slight lean on the Yankees, but nothing really for me.
Yeah. I'll just make it real quick.
Go ahead.
Nothing. I mean, Toronto's ranking close to last in hitting right now, but 3 games against Houston can do that to some people. Nothing ails a poor hitting lineup than going against Carlos Carrasco, though. The Jays should be able to produce some runs, but I'm not betting this game because I think the Yankees will probably produce some runs too. Interesting fact about this one, just real quick. The Blue Jays bullpen is outperforming the Yankees bullpen at the moment. Both bullpens are ranked pretty high in my numbers. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think I see the Jays getting at least one of these this weekend. I have these. I'm still higher on the Jays than most. I still think they have some upside. You talked about the Jays bullpen, TB, much better than it was last year. You could say it's overperforming, but I also think it's just better than it was last season. Which, if you remember, they had arguably the worst bullpen in the year for a long stretch last season. So. I do kind of like they've got Garcia and they've got my guy, Jeff Hoffman, used to coach youth baseball at the complex he played youth baseball at, Latham, New York. Jeff Hoffman, a Latham, New York native. So good to see him having some success. And coming in off 5 straight losses, like I've talked about this all year. I think the Yankees are overvalued almost on a day-to-day basis. So Blue Jays at plus money is intriguing to me. And of course, going against Carlos Carrasco is almost always intriguing to me. So it would be Blue Jays or pass for me here, but I will probably wait and see if I can find a better spot for the Blue Jays this weekend. But wouldn't be at all surprised if they won this one, and I think there's actually still some very slight value if you can get like plus 120. As Bryan said, this did get bet down, but I do think that there is some value there. All right, let's see if we can get one more in at the gun. Brewers-Cardinals, TB, minute or less. Brewers-Cardinals, any thoughts?
Oh, I won't take that long. Yeah. I think the Cardinals have a pretty good home record here, and I don't like the Brewers on the road. I don't know a lot about Patrick here, but Liberatore's been pitching a little over his head. But I like the Cardinals in the first 5 in this one, so I'll keep my analysis short. But I am putting a small play on the Cardinals in the first 5.
I have nothing on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Brewers kind of being like a team. We at least Bryan and I kind of agree that they're a team that started to push the right buttons, and maybe are a decent option long term. I have my concerns with Patrick a little bit. Like he's he just I've watched him so much at AAA. He's a solid innings eater type guy at that level. I don't know if I'm fully buying him at the big league level. So I think it would be Cardinals or pass for me. He's not the guy that I think is going to like stick in this rotation long term. And while he's still in there, I don't know how many more times that you maybe have to go against him. But and it's not that he's like a bad pitcher by any means. Who knows? He could at some point in his career be a Ben Lively. Like that's kind of what he looks like to me. But the problem is it took Ben Lively a decade and a trip to Korea to like figure that all out. Patrick just got called up. He's a younger guy. I would not be that surprised if the Cardinals maybe got to him here. And of course, Milwaukee kind of coming off of that travel out in San Francisco, played a close game yesterday. Now they've got to go to St. Louis. And Palante is a guy that I think has some upside. He's done whatever the Cardinals have asked him to do for the last couple of seasons, and he's done it to serviceable or above average. So he's a guy that I think is someone that I'd prefer over Patrick. Cardinals at home. So a very slight lean here to the Cardinals for me. Go ahead.
I just want to point out the schedules or the line service on Libertor going today, at least last time.
Oh, it's dude. Do you realize? Okay, we got to talk about it real quick. The Cardinals have all these Italians. Like they have Sagassi in the minors. Why do the Cardinals have all these Italian-born Italian pitchers, position players, Libertor? That's why I'm getting these names confused. If there's like 5 of them at AAA,
they want to threaten the other teams. Don't go against the family.
Family's over in Italy right now. Maybe he can get a job as a scout and figure that out. They've got a scout over in Italy.
So yeah, I think. I must have been confused. Palante must have pitched yesterday then, because I know he was like a probable at some point the last couple of days.
About it.
Been very, very good so far this year. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gone 6 or more in every start, a whip of 1. So again, like he's probably a better option than Palante. So I guess my handicap would still sort of hold there. Lean toward Cardinals -125. All right, we've hit the hour mark. We've covered a whole bunch of games. If you're tuning in late, that's okay. This will be up and on demand on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Guys, what do you have to promote for today? Anyone got plays up at this point?
I have a couple plays up. I have a 5% today in MLB. You can only get it though buying my 3-day pass for $39. Use the code TB3 at my page at WagerTalk. You can get my 5% MLB banger today.
Yeah, on a nice run, 11-3 off 5% winner yesterday, but I have not put my plays up. I will have them up in the next hour.
Yeah, I haven't played anything yet either. Kind of going to just wait and see how things materialize today, but I am certain I will. It's a Friday. We've got the whole league going, so I'm certain I'll have something for tonight. So keep an eye out. I do think if you're looking for like a good special, I think I'm going to have a 3-day or a 7-day type special up at some point this weekend. So keep an eye out for that. We will see you guys back here Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Everyone have a great weekend. Cash all your tickets. See you guys later.